Hi, I'm Kayleen. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending a few minutes listening to some of my stories. Today's video is about what I learned about death certificates from my mother's death certificate. If this is your first time here at my channel is a little bit about health and fitness, caregiving, and I'm trying to promote my book. I'm writing a graphic memoir of how I used my health and fitness knowledge to stop my mother with mild dementia from forgetting me, and it worked. And I go over all of that in my book. Hopefully it will be out this summer, 2022. It'll be called Mom Remembers Me. But today I wanted to talk about death certificates. So I have been a health and fitness professional for 35 years. I got my master's from Springfield College in Springfield, Mass. And I start off by telling you that because part of my profession is to educate people on how to change their lifestyle so they reduce their risk factors on their biometric markers. So, for instance, cholesterol and blood pressure are huge. Every wellness program, every corporate fitness program that I've worked at, that was part of our objectives, is to educate people on how to reduce those risk factors. So, with my mother, the first thing I started to do with her was to change her caffeine. She told me for 20 years she couldn't sleep, and I always said, give up the caffeine. So I personally have never had a cup of coffee in my life, and I know many caffeine drinkers have acted like I have missed out on the best parts of life because I haven't had a drug that's an upper, then of course you need a downer. So the first thing I did with my mother was I tricked her off of caffeine, and that had a major positive snowball effect. So I tell you this because when my mother died, the hospice, the doctor never saw my mother and looked at her medical records and put down hypertensive on her bottom of her medical records. And I had a problem saying, well, she wasn't hypertensive anymore because when I changed all of her habits, she didn't have high blood pressure anymore and she didn't need any high blood pressure medication. But the hospice insisted on leaving that on her death certificate. Now, the big reason why I wanted to make this video, and I wait a little bit after what's been happening in the world the past couple of years. This is March of 2022. I live in Northern California. I immediately told hospice that I did not want Alzheimer's on my mother's death certificate. I knew that she did not have Alzheimer's. She had mild dementia, so she didn't do anything obsessive. And when it comes to being defined with everything, it's different. But dementia is the umbrella term over all the brain illnesses. But with my mother, she fit just like the book, The Myth of Alzheimer's. She didn't do anything obsessive. So she never started to drive anymore, even when her back, my hometown. She never tried to cook or clean, and she didn't want to eat green. So a lot of times she reminded me of a teenager. And then she would try to steal money and candy because her brain was deteriorating. And just like in the several books, a book by Robert Lustig, The Hacking of the American Mind, and also XX Brain by Lisa Mosconi, they both talk about this addiction and craving to sugar when you're with dementia. In Robert Lustig's book, he admits that they don't know which came first, whether you get the addiction for sugar after you have getting dementia or the other way around. But Lisa Mosconi definitely says that there's studies showing that the sugar contributes to dementia. And of course, now they're thinking that Alzheimer's is the third form of diabetes. But with my mother, the hospice insisted on putting clinically diagnosed Alzheimer's on her death certificate. And I know my mother would not have wanted Alzheimer's on her death certificate. And I had some friends over the time when I was telling them this story ask me, why does it matter? And I said, because our medical records are part of our health history. We should be able to look back and have an accurate reading of what your health history is like. That's what every doctor asks you. That's what every health questionnaire asks you. So that's why I was really insistent on making sure that her death certificate was accurate. After the hospice put clinically diagnosed Alzheimer's on her death certificate, I asked doctors, and there's no such thing as clinically diagnosed Alzheimer's. So why did hospice insist on putting that on there? And they fought me with taking it off with an addendum. So at one point, listen to this. This is huge, especially for what's happening in the world now in America and Northern California. I called the Department of Public Health This is all right before mid-2019. My mother died June of 2019. This happened about July of 2019. I called the Department of Public Health and I asked this woman, I said, who has jurisdictions over death certificates? Who monitors them? And who verifies them? And her answer was nobody. She told me nobody monitors death certificates. And after that, I was always talking to people about death certificates. I heard many different stories. One woman told me that they put a certain thing on the death certificate just so insurance would pay for those final medical bills. So people are all looking at death certificates as accurate. And I've also pointed out in my book about my mother all of the medical errors that were in her medical records, as well as what happened with a few instances with the police. I value the police. We need the police, but I think that the police and medical people should pay attention and be competent and not be lazy. There's a lot of times I don't know whether it's incompetence or lazy when I was looking through all the medical records. So I wanted to share that today. This is just a short little video talking about what I learned about death certificates from what happened with my mother's death certificates. Thank you for staying and watching this video. This is going to be a short video today. I would highly appreciate if you would subscribe. I need 884 more subscribers before YouTube will start putting up my videos in front of everybody and monetize me. Remember, it doesn't cost any money. I do have an incentive if you do subscribe. So if you look at one of my videos after you subscribed, I have an incentive. But thanks for watching. Have a good rest of the day.